Oh, yeah. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Danielle here. Welcome back to another episode of Chill to Action on this very special Tuesday. Got a very special guest with us in the house. But first things first, here's my wonderful co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio.
That's me. What's up, everybody? So happy to be here on a very special day. Not a day we usually record, but we decided to make a reason to do. It was a good reason to do so today. So, and to my immediate right,
yeah. What?
Oh, that's Delford right there.
Oh my God. Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, Dylan Camacho. I'm subbing in for Billy Belford. We have come together and just become Dylan Delford, also known as Dilly. But we're not here to talk about me, guys. We're here to talk about the one, the only,
Mr. Kristian Harloff.
Finally, be able to do it. We made it work.
Woo!
Any day, any time. We said that. If it was going to be at 3:30 in the morning on a Wednesday, we would have done it.
I heard the same thing for Brandon Hanna.
That's true.
Accurate.
Brandon Hanna is everywhere.
You know what? That's what we got. It's not a Sunday. We'll do it on Tuesday either way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Sunday's tough. But then it happen.
Yeah, Sundays are tough. And if y'all have been here before, welcome back. You all know the drill with the show. We usually like to ask the first question to our guest, why Schmodown? But I think we all know that story. I think we're all pretty familiar with why we're here right now because of this man. To my right, your left, whatever it is. So, Kristian, first question. When did you know, what moment did it hit you that you knew that you could take this little segment on AfterBuzz and turn it into this incredible network that you made today?
Well, I don't know about ever really knowing to turn it into like a big network or whatnot, but I mean, I think that it was the idea that it could be a weekly show and turn it into a sports show. It just seemed like a no-brainer to me right away, even because whether people know or not, I used to run a boxing league in college, and it was 2 a.m. after the bars would close and people would come and they'd watch them. I didn't let the fighters drink, obviously, but everyone else was drunk. And people told me I was nuts that no one would come and watch that. And we were sold out every single time. Cops would come and sit in the front row. And it was one of the biggest things on campus for like 3 years. And so I just took that formula and said, well, we can do the same thing. And it's a lot safer. People won't get concussions. That's true. That's true. I mean, have you met John Roca? So anyway, it's talking to John Campy at the time, and I said, well, I actually talked to Ellis first, and I was like, dude, I'm telling you, I think this could be a full-on show, and we could do press conferences and characters and this whole thing, and we can make it like a thing. Because we wanted to do it because it was never on after Buzz. It was from their studios. It was always on the Schmoes channel, but we always knew that we wanted to expand it more and do more with it. We were just kind of limited. So with the resources that we now had being over Collider, we thought we could do it a little better, and we did. And because the way it worked was, I think I talked about this maybe on SEN Live. Mark and I had a deal with Complex at the time, and I wasn't a full-time employee. It was like a freelance deal, but it was a deal where we had to do a certain amount of things. They gave the Schmoes company a certain amount of money each month, and with that we would post they were from Collider Studios when we did the Schmoes No Show. And then I said, well, I want to do the Schmodown show. They said, that's fine, but you have to use the money that we're giving you to produce it. So I said, okay, fine. We did the singles. And then it became a big hit, and they're like, well, we'll pay for the teams. And we're like, all right, cool. And then when it was a really big hit, they're like, we'll pay for all of it. So then that's kind of how it went down.
Sweet.
And now we got the spectacular coming up with a live audience, a live expo, December 7th.
Everyone thought I was crazy when I told them about the first spectacular, including Ellis. I said spectacular when it was coming up, because we didn't. Spectacular was the first big event we ever did. There was no free for all. There was no collision. And I said to all of them, I go, I want to do like a WrestleMania now with the Schmodown. We'll call it the Schmodown Spectacular. And they're like, well, what does that mean? Like 2 in 1? I was like, no. We'll do 5 or 6 matches in one day. And they're like, you're out of your mind. What are you gonna do? Like, and I was like, you split. I wanted to run the full video, and they're like, well, can you split it up match by match? I'm like, no, you got to make it an event. And then when I did it, Ellis goes, crazy idiot, you did it again. So he was happy with it. And then we just kept. Then it was a lot easier to sell the free for all and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the live events have been such a fun addition to the Schmodown. Being able to watch it on TV and going back and forth on YouTube with it, but being at a live event is a real life event. It's almost life changing for me because Houston, I got to meet some of these wonderful people, got to meet a whole bunch of people. So I think where you've taken this whole thing with the live events and now with Spectacular coming up has been so great for the whole league.
I would actually touch on that real quick to say that Houston is probably the key event that most of us would pinpoint as the birth or the second generation of the Action Army 2.0. We've been around for a while, but when we got all together and really made it like a group outing, a family outing, when you had that bar with one bartender and closed that place down.
And Jake's card.
That's true. And Jake getting. But it's unbelievable how much we came together, and since then it's grown from there. So I really think live events have brought this community even closer together than you could ever even imagine, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's kind of the point of it is that I think when you go to the live events, if anything, I think new fans are born at live events all the time, because if you're introduced to the Schmodown via live event, you feel the energy of it, and it's much different than those studio matches, and you're there for the event. And if you're watching, even if you're discovering it for the first time on YouTube, there's always the possibility of a text message coming in, or you get distracted by some other video or whatever it might be. You're not sitting in the audience watching it, feeling the energy. And it's like, it's our job to conduct a show. And so you're spending your hard-earned money to go to it. So it's a show. And so you want to be entertained and you want it to feel like an event. And that's what we try to do each and every time.
Speaking of that, Lucas Shashak in the chat. New York City 2 was his first exposure, and now he's binge watched all but like 40 episodes.
Well, that's my point. Like if someone introduces you, and then I hope someone like Lucas or whoever it might be brings another friend who says, it's my favorite thing out of all events. And as much as I love all the hardcore fans and everything too, I love the look of just like confusing people when they come walking in, like, where am I? What the hell am I about to watch? What am I watching? And they look and they go, that was awesome. Like, that's and to be able to find that wrestling fan or that sports fan that doesn't know what it is and have them find it for the first time, that's the goal. The goal for season 7 is to get that marketing to find those fans, because there's tons of Lucases out there who have not discovered this show yet that need to.
And absolutely, they got to see it, because I remember the problem I've always had is like when you try to explain what it is, people like look at you like, I don't really get it. But then you put them down in front of them and you're like, oh, I get it now. I get it more.
Yeah.
I had that moment with my wife before going to Chicago. I was kind of explaining it, and she's never watched any wrestling before. She's like, I like trivia. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot like that. Yeah. And you take her to Chicago, 1,000 packs, whole theater. Her look on her face when we started doing the Meryl Streep chants, priceless. But yeah, now she can tell me who John Roca is, and she knows Ben. He's a very nice man. But yeah, it's incredible just the difference it makes. I mean, it goes from her not knowing at all what Movie Trivia Schmodown is to saying, when are you going to be done doing this so we can go eat dinner?
Right. She gets it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now we know that you've had your history. We're going to go off Schmodown for a second, but kind of tangentially related. I'm a big wrestling fan from back in the day. I know you've mentioned once or twice that you've worked for the WWE.
Yes, love to let me know about it when I mention
it. We've also seen your clip, of course, when you had your moment of infamy with The Rock. But I do have a really fond memory, like your best memory of your time with the WWE.
It was so brief, but when there was a lot of cool memories, obviously. But I think that there was a few. I think the Rock moment's hard to pass up. Being on a jet with Vince McMahon eating his shrimp was fun. But being there for my first show ever, I had like 4 different duffel bags that I had moved. I thought I was going to be there for a lot longer than I was, but I had everything. And I brought it to the arena, and I think it was Chicago. I don't remember, but wherever it was, the first event I ever went to, if you're a wrestling fan, it was when Kurt Angle showed up on the milk truck and spraying down Stone Cold. That was my first show that I ever worked, and I got there. I mean, I used to, my favorite line that I ever did was it was, what was his name? Chavo Guerrero, and it wasn't Moppy. What was the one that he had riding around on that pony. Remember, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Oh gosh.
Not Pablo.
It was like
something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's say it was Pookie. Was the name.
there you go. Yeah, we'll go with that.
And so it was the middle of the cafeteria thing, or we were all eating, and I was next to him, and he started to rib me a little bit, and I said, I'm a writer, right? He goes, yeah. I go, you gotta be careful. Why is that? I go, because you'll be doing scenes of Pookie for the rest of your life. because it was from WCW or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, and they got a kick out of that. So.
That's a good one.
That's fun. Schmodown. So I'm not a big wrestling fan. I didn't grow up with it. I've seen matches. Like I know who Bret Hart is. Bret Hart and Owen Hart. I know who that is. But the Schmodown has allowed me to get more into it, and I'm hoping that if I get more into wrestling, I can sneak more people in to the Schmodown from that crowd.
Yeah, definitely. That's the goal. Well, there's a bunch of different audiences that everybody can try to tap into. Obviously, there's the movie fan, and you want to go to someone who thinks they know movies, wants to play along. There's the wrestling fan. There's the UFC fan. And I got into an argument with somebody on Facebook, and I stopped doing this because I was just like, it's not worth it. But the guy's like, well, I don't like UFC at all. I was like, it's completely like UFC, and not the actual athleticism of it, dope, but like the unexpected, the fact that whoever can win. Because when Dana White goes into a match, he in his head is thinking about what the next event that they're going to be promoting 3 months from now, and hoping that the main event guy or girl from that event is going to be headlining. He doesn't. I'll tell you, he wasn't ever rooting for Ronda Rousey to lose. But when she did, then he's like, okay, well, what's next? And that was me with Dan Merle and Andrew Ghai. That was me with because I like the Patriots when they lost against Above the Line. It's like, you gotta think. You always got to be thinking in the what's next. I mean, like, for example, like Riley versus Stacey Howard, which you guys talked about last night, right? It's like,
yep.
In my head, you go into it going, well, Mark can win this because he's a 2-time champion. He's got 10 victories. He's probably going to win. But then you look over at Stacey and go, well, she took out some good people before, and what Stacey we're going to see today? So you got to be prepared for it. So it's that unexpectedness of that UFC crowd that I think is fun too.
Mm-hmm.
That Andrew Ghai Dan Merle match, we did a reaction to it, an old school reaction to it, and you can see your face melt. It's so much anxiety watching you watch that match.
I had a live event planned. It was Dan Merle and Sam Levine for the title. And the whole awning was just up in flames. And
it wasn't even just your face. It was like your whole body was physically uncomfortable. I saw you're like,
yeah.
And everybody was commenting it outside. They were watching on the monitor. I couldn't, because it's like, I said, how is this? I couldn't believe it. It's the only time that I went into a match saying this 100% is going to go the way that I think it is, and it didn't. And Andrew Ghai gave the middle finger to everybody.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
That's actually a good point. It's sort of a question that Billy Belford asked me. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He was walking around afterwards like he just won the World Series by himself.
Not a threat.
Oh yeah. I mean, with the big old shit-eating smile on his face, and he deserved it. I mean, he absolutely deserved it. It's like,
can't blame him.
Champ lunch.
He was 0-0. He had never played a singles match ever, and that's his first victory. And in my head, I'm like, what the hell do I do with this guy now? And then he does it again, and he beat Riley again, and then he beats Riley. TKO's Riley, and I'm like, okay, is he going to do this to Roca also? Because it was going to be Ghai versus Bibbs, and then Roca was like,
no.
John Roca shut down our hopes and dreams, as he usually does, and that's fine.
Danny, we said we weren't going to talk about that.
Oh, sorry.
We're nice now.
Yeah, we're face turn, guys. Face turn. We're tweeners at best.
I know.
You know what?
I got a brokerage of peace treaty with you guys.
We're trying.
We're trying. We reached out, but we don't got anything.
I know.
I made a hotcakes episode.
He's a stubborn old mule. I'll talk to him.
All right.
We appreciate that. That actually brings up a good point. I was going to say, because one of the most unique parts about the Schmodown is the interaction between the fans and the pros.
Right.
We get to this level of interaction that you can't get in wrestling or anywhere else. And it leads to some heat, some things. I think sometimes you like to stir the pot a little bit. I think you actually like it because it means more.
Sometimes depends. Depends who the competitor is.
Well, that's the question I have. Is when is it too much? When is it not? What about fans and kayfabe? What's the line? Where are we here?
Well, I think as this thing grows, the line's gonna blur more and more and more. And I think that the positive and the negative about interaction with fans is that not all fans are like you guys, and that meaning that they don't get it, and sometimes people do push it too far, and sometimes they mean it. They mean it well, but I think sometimes competitors take it too personally, and some don't understand the wrestling aspect of it, and they take it personal. And my thing is that I don't think a lot of competitors sometimes should comment back. I mean, interaction is fun, but I sometimes think they shouldn't get involved. And I told Mike on the show when he was on last week, I think Mike sometimes he'll start in character, but then a lot of times he'll be he'll take it serious, and so will Roca. And I think that people who can't take it or don't understand that side of it, they shouldn't be in the Facebook group. They shouldn't be reading comments. They shouldn't be doing it and just play the matches. Because what we have to do as the thing grows is understand that if we want it to be a sport, not everybody likes the Red Sox, not everybody likes the Yankees, not everybody likes the Cowboys or the Giants. It's like that's part of it. The Cowboys and the Giants don't go into Facebook forums and say, "Hey, why don't you like us? Wait a minute." It's just,
It's very true.
We're a smaller group, so right now we can do that, and that's the thing with interacting. But I think sometimes we, the competitors, the people behind the Schmodown, got to realize that a fan base is a fan base. They're not getting into it to be your friend. They're either going to root, and especially what we're doing. We're asking you to boo, or we're asking you to cheer. And if someone that you boo comes into the Facebook group and you start smack talking them and saying, I think it's personally okay. My personal opinion is that it is okay for a fan to come out and say, I think this person is a better competitor than this person, and I think that they should be considered over this person. It's their opinion. It is their opinion to say it. Now, it depends on how you say it. Now, if you're being insulting and you're saying that person X is an awful human, sucks, is this, is that, then no, that doesn't count. But if your opinion is that this person is better because of this, I think that you should be allowed to say that. And I don't have and I think I'm way more protective of the fans than people I think realize.
It's good to know for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that considering you went all the way onto this show. So, I mean, even coming on a point to even say that, we had put out a video a little while ago. It was me and Abby Friel just kind of talking about the kayfabe as a whole, working from our fan base, working upwards with the competitors, and how that moving forward, it's one of those things where it gets dicey because there's like no degrees of separation between me to talk to Mike or Mike or Ben or Roca or whoever else.
Because you don't know who you're talking to. Are you talking to Mike Kalinowski, or are you talking to KO? Like who? Right. And I don't think sometimes he knows all the time. I think that, and I also think that it's also not fair sometimes, like where someone like Rachel Cushing, who she never wanted to be a part of the kayfabe part of it, never really had a kayfabe character. She was always Rachel, so she did take things personal, and she did take things because she cares so much about the game, and she cares so much about the fans, and she doesn't understand the negative side of it. It's not who she is as a person. She wants acknowledgement for everybody, but it's tough to do when you're playing in a sport. And
Absolutely.
As beloved as the Shire Wolves were and are, people are still human. Not everybody's gonna like you, and it's like that's just how it goes.
Absolutely. But bring back the positivity side of it. The interaction also has a lot to do with the success, I think, in a way. And in a minor league system, so to speak, the Action Army from Team Action is because Ben and Drew have been so powerfully interactive. I mean, they were there in Houston, Kristian. We picked up Drew from the airport.
I thought you guys were going to throw him in a trunk and kill him.
Yeah, we did. Well, we tried to kill him with tequila, but it didn't quite work. But yeah.
I said to him, and I mean, I still, not necessarily you guys, but it's always a risk because I was like, how well do you know these guys? And he's like, well enough, and I'm like, all right. But it's that's what Mark Ellis and I always prided ourselves was that and that's what SEN Live is doing right now is being interactive with your audience, because then it feels more like it's something you want to be a part of, and I think that's what's been so instrumental in the Schmodown growing, is that you feel like you're a part of it. You feel like you know the competitors. You feel like and even if you don't interact with them, you feel like it from and that's why people don't understand. And it's better. It's been a lot better lately with like the scenes and stuff where people understand about the whole show in general of what it is. Because why do you think you're so attached to certain players? Like there were a couple people that was like, I just watched the trivia. I'm like, you don't get the show. I mean, I appreciate that you're watching it, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you watch. But you're not going to have the same excitement when you come to a live event if you're watching the whole show and following the journey. Just watching for the trivia, you can watch Jeopardy.
I agree 100%. And you get to see those characters. Like Garth, just a good point, Garth McMurray in chat. I hated Ben and Drew from the Showdown personalities, but then you see them in their own videos, and you love because they're so nice in real life.
Right.
That's the characterization that it brings to it. You want the heels to be hated, or in our case, we love the heels though. So
yeah,
yeah. Well, it's true. The evolution of the game, and you always John Roca was the godfather of the character. I mean,
absolutely.
He was the one that and it's so funny. I think it was on in your show where Andrew Ghai said that he didn't see Roca as a heel. I was like, what the hell are you watching? I was like, Roca's he's throwing the shirt in Mance's face. He's wiping his ass with the Shirewolf shirt. Wolves of Steel. He's all the way around. It was an ultimate heel, and then that shift. I think by the time that Ghai and Bateman came in the league, he was already a face, or like a tweener, if you will. But no, Ghai and Bateman took the character to the next level. And what was so good about that was that then people really understood it. And I had a point of reference for people who were coming in who didn't get it. I said, well, look at those guys. I was like, they're good. They're good guys. They're douchebags on here. And I remember cutting the promo with them for the first time and saying, well, this is the way I think you guys should kind of play this, that you're the young blood, all these old farts in here now too. You're the next wave of this thing. And I want you to just, because I didn't know what to expect from them. I didn't know I thought they could have been a one and done, because they were playing up against Emma and Joelle the first time. And I said, Emma was already well known in the Schmodown. And I said, okay, these guys come in, they're douchey if they lose, and then so be it. Then they're gone. And after the match, I was like, okay, I think we got something with these two.
Yeah, but you never know that. But I mean, you have so many rookies this year that have stepped up, and they're the next generation. And with them, we're not entirely sure yet, but some of them have become. I mean, Kevin Spence is a rookie. It's hard for me to put down.
Yeah. How much? He's 4-1,
right? Yeah.
What is he 5-1? He's 5-1, right? Is he 5? He beat Chandru, Lavick, and then he beat Hector, Moore, and then who was the second? And then Jay.
Yeah, that's right. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But he feels he's so ingrained already. He feels like he's been there for years, but he's a rookie.
Right.
No, it's crazy.
Yep.
And I think kind of looking at the character pieces with that. So I guess that kind of leads me into a question, because I know we've been kind of just talking about our love for Schmodown, which you can tune in all the time for that. But with Harloff, I kind of want to get questions picked in. So looking at characters and Ben and Drew and Roca and all of that, I guess from your side, has there been a favorite character for you that's just been, I don't know if it's been something that you've kind of created or at least collaborated with? Has there been one that you've just said, oh man, I absolutely adore this character. This is my all-time favorite to watch?
I mean, there's so many of them, but I think that it's hard for me not to say Mike, because Mike told the story briefly on your show where Mike was like the ultimate good guy, and people were just not. They just weren't vibing him. Like he was too vanilla. He was too nice. He was kind of what the big criticism of Superman is. He's a Boy Scout. Who cares? Why do we need him? We've got there's no edge to him. So, and I was like, and I knew Mike was such a good actor, and I knew how much he loved the game, and I'm like, what do I do to get him over? I've had that problem with a couple of different competitors of how to get him over. Sometimes people do it with character, and sometimes people just do it with performance in the game. And Mike again touched on this, and I've talked about it, but Aaliyah and Dan from from All the Belts had a podcast that I used to listen to all the time, and they really just dove deep into the storylines. And so they had Mike on after the Spectacular 2, and they played him as a villain, and Mike came on pretending he was a villain and that he was behind the lion's den the whole time. And I listened to that. It's something that I would encourage people to go back and listen to, because it's still on the podcast feed. It's really good. And so I listened to it, and I called him. I go, dude, that was awesome. I was like, we gotta turn you heel. And he's like, I'll do it. And I'm like, all right, well, let's figure it out. So I had to figure out how to do it. And then as we started to do it, I was like, well, there was two ways that we were going to do it. The first one, if Andrew and Ben beat him, then you would get the result that we ultimately did. If they won, then Gertler and LaQuasto were going to go heel with them and leave Roxy. So then it was going to be the three of them kind of starting their own thing and trying to bring down the system. But then as Mike went off on his own and said, I'm on a league of my own, I'm doing my own thing, I started thinking, all right, so so now he's just got to buck against the system, and he wants to take down all the factions. He wants to go against the fact that everybody was, because he legit got upset. Vince McMahon, the main thing that Vince always said was take reality and skew it. And so Mike was legit getting pissed off about the fact that, like, he couldn't, when he played Clark Wolf, he walked out and Clark got this huge ovation, and Mike got booed a little bit, and he was still a good guy, and he didn't like it, for real, and he didn't like the way that it felt, and he was like, oh wow, they were kind of going against me, no one was cheering, no one was in my corner. And I said, that's the angle, no one's in your corner, and you got to do it yourself. And so Corruption was born, and then once him and Dad did their first scene, I knew I had gold. And the stuff with Dad and Mike is my absolute favorite. Yeah, Miss Movies is in here. Mike, like, we had this whole angle with Brienne and Mike, and it's just that, Brienne was running the Patreon, and she had stepped back from competing, so it wasn't I couldn't layer it as much because she wasn't competing anymore, so it didn't really work. I mean, she was still doing team stuff, but plus she knows it. She was instrumental in how big the Patreon got, and if it wasn't for her, we probably wouldn't even have a Patreon, to be honest. I don't even know if the show would be on, because the Patreon is what funded it, and she convinced me. She said to me, she was like, you got to run a Patreon. The guys are kind of funny to it, and you got to do it. And I was like, I don't know. And I pushed back briefly, and then I stopped and I go, well, tell me more about it. And then she did, and she got us where we were, and she was great. She was really, and I'm scattered. I'm very scattered, and I admit that I'm scattered. I would get texts from her, and she always wondered, she would say, am I bothering you? I'm like, not at all. She's like reminding me when I had auditions, the people that were auditioning. She was great, and Emma's awesome too. But I definitely miss Brienne's. She had a lot of ferocity. Yeah, Atlas.
We love and appreciate Miss Movies, Miss Brienne Chandler on this podcast very much, very much. So with the whole anarchy completely changed the game for this year in the Schmodown, and I truly believe that the draft is going to shake it up just as hard as this. Is there a particular team that you want to see happen in the draft, like between players?
I don't know. I mean, this is why people ask all the time. The difference with the anarchy is I had a lot to do with, like anarchy, and everyone said, a lot of fans are like, oh, this is horrible. Why are you bringing up the teams? And anarchy has produced 4 champions, 3 champions, something like that. But the draft, I told his managers had the same questions that the fans had. It was like, they said to me, how much do we have involved in this? How much are you doing it? And I said, this is all you guys. You guys are going to pick. You guys are going to do your whole thing, because my goal is to offer like a really big prize at the end of the year, and that's not fair for me to start getting involved and saying, oh, you get this person, you get this person. That's all on you. As a fan, I have things like it's funny because Paul Preston just had a great match, against Shazam with Adam, and Adam didn't play well in his first match, but he played great in his second match, and they're 0-2, so they're not protected. So unless somebody drafts the two of them at the same time, you could see Paul with someone else. I think the same could be said for the Scream Queens. I think Haley Fouch could be paired with somebody and pretty devastating. There's a lot of different teammates that I want to see stay together, and there's others that I'd be curious, and there's matches, there's matchups. Now, the other thing that people could do, as the rules will come out more and more, the champions will be protected, 1 through 5 will be protected. Now, 6 through 10, you can have the option. Let's say I said, okay, I'm gonna draft whoever. Let's say Ethan Irwin. No, he's pretty high up. Well, no, Ethan Irwin is right now. I think him and Janine are they're still in the tournament, but they're at a level. I think they're like ranked 6th. So let's say I draft Ethan Irwin, but they're ranked 6. I can choose to keep Janine if I want to. I can choose to, but I can also say no, as opposed to the top 5 where I have to take the teammate. Now, if you're ranked 10 and under, I don't have to take. Like I could just draft. If let's say Ethan and Janine were ranked 11, I could just draft Ethan and that's it. I don't have to take Janine.
It's just so many different permutations that could happen.
I know. Just trying to figure out the value on that. So, following the draft and looking more at the managers, I know that Manager of the Year has been a really spicy topic from start to finish, honestly. For you, I guess I like getting it from your perspective because I think a lot of us as fans just see what the players are doing, not necessarily what the managers are doing. And I think managers tend to be more behind the scenes. I guess for you, which tends to be more important from being the head down, looking at what are you really looking for managers to be doing? Obviously both, but what's most important?
I mean, for me, that's a different layered question because for me, I want managers to be entertaining. I want them to know what keep a lock on their players. I want them to know if they're going to challenge, get involved at the right moments. I don't want them to interrupt the show. But I think when you ask someone like a Ben Bateman or Ghai or anybody like that, what a manager should do, or like someone like Andreyko and Snyder, I think Roxy is the overall best manager when it comes to working with her players. Mm-hmm. I think that what she did, people don't understand, like what she did for the Odd Couple. And Snyder and Andreyko will tell you straight up, they knew each other from the Lions Den days, and they had respect for each other. But Snyder is a very emotional player, as is Andreyko. And Snyder has gotten into the side of his head to where he's lost games because of it, or he's given up on himself.
Viviani.
Yeah.
And Roxy goes in there and says, no, focus. You've got this. Use your JTEs. Use your moments. She knows the game. She knows it very well, and she plays it very well. I'm very curious to see what Roxy's going to do with a full-on 10-staffed team. I think Roxy's going to be a very tough manager. She only has 2 players right now, so it's harder to judge. Emma Fyfe is someone else too, who really knows the game and has done it, because people also don't give her enough credit. Where she during her tenure she had the Shire Wolves who won the belts, but she was stripped of her managing duties because she was the commissioner. She got Rachel up to that Inner Geekdom shot, and then Rachel won the title. So you could even say that she's won 2 titles. Not technically, but and Dagnino, I mean, there's so many great managers out there, but I think you'll see managers that are just good on the mic that are going to get tested this time, because now they have to actually play the game with their players.
All right.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Winston in that. I saw Winston on SEN talk about how he wants to form his team with people who can just talk shit. I can't wait to see that.
Winston do research. That's the only thing. Winston's he'll tell you himself is that he just does. He loves the game. He loves being around it. I don't think he's as familiar with everybody like some of these other players are going to be, and that's what the newer managers are going to have a disadvantage of. And Burnett, if Burnett doesn't come in dead last, I don't know who's going. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he steps it up and he does some studying and he finds out the players, because he's going to look to me. He's going to be like, who should I draft? Well, this is on you, my man. I'm very curious to see how this draft goes down.
Fair enough. Well, it's about time. We will go into our next segment on this show. You know it, you love it. It's This or That. And if you haven't been here before, probably have some new time viewers today, I'll be giving Kristian 2 choices without context, maybe with context. We'll see how it goes. And Kristian will be able to decide between them however he likes, and he will either expand on it if he wants or not. But we got to start, of course, with our first one. First question we always ask anybody on this show, because we're going to start keeping tabs on it, and we'll have a reveal later on in some future chill episode. Team Ghai or Team Trader?
I feel like I'm going to be like this the entire segment of this. I'll be ready for the boost. Team Trader. The man is a big student of the game, and I don't know. There's not a lot of people that I can talk schmo down the way I can with Team Trader.
That's awesome.
So
that's fair enough.
Oh, I did talk to Ghai on the phone today. We have some fun stuff in store. I tell you that.
All right, more annoying.
You. No.
I'll take it. ST cards or squirrels?
Oh man, squirrels. The SD cards don't annoy me. I just couldn't find them. Yeah, squirrels. Squirrels.
So there we go. Team Trader, when Trader has a beard. That's very sad that that's wrong there. And Billy Belford decided to cancel his Patreon because he doesn't support people who support traders.
That's fair.
It's
Billy, what would you do with your life without this moment? You go nuts.
You would.
It would look like Ben playoff season. The beard would just be this big.
Sure.
Okay.
His mother, he'd get a job is what he'd do.
I don't think you're far off. Actually, that's why he's not here. He's working his job so he can get spectacular. Pay off the flight, just like me. I have to work to get there. Okay, next one we got. More easily riled. Mike Helenowski or John Roca?
Oh, man. That's push. Let's see. Who's more easily riled? I don't know the answer to that question. I have been stumped. That's shoot. It could go either way. On what day? I'll give the slight edge to Kalinowski.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. He's probably more recently easily.
You know why I give it to Kalinowski? Because if he's watching this and I said that, what do you mean? What?
Should we expect a Twitter thread soon?
Yeah.
He just woke up at us. He actually a ringing happened on stage at Universal right now, and he needs to go and comment.
Okay. Old school wrestling one for you. My own personal one.
Sure.
Davey Boy Smith. Dynamite Kid.
Dynamite Kid had a head made out of cement. I think Davey Boy had the longer career because Dynamite got hurt. But I liked Dynamite Kid.
I did too.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's a good one. For the draft, let's pretend you're the manager.
Sure.
There's two people left in the draft, and you have one pick. Saul or Ben Goddard?
Both tough because Saul, from what Saul tells me, he's going to be a tornado next season. He tells me he's going to be the next IG champ. I've heard that from people though. I'd probably take Ben Goddard because Ben's impressed with actual movie knowledge lately. So I'll go Ben Goddard.
All right.
Ball
bag or schlong?
Ball bag. Yeah.
Gotta go the old classic, right? So, did somebody try to do ball bag yet on the Schmobuck? Could they do that?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure. Why not?
Just pick up ball bag.
Yeah, the thing though that I still it's so when we made the Harloff Minor shirts, it says Harloff Minor, no ball bags allowed, and still my 8-year-old, what's the ball bag? I was like, and it's just it's sports. They don't like sports on the planet.
As we get older, we have to hide those things more and more.
Yeah, I realize that.
I'm not ready to talk about this with you, not right now.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one that's our show specific. We do this one every week. You might not get it, but maybe you will. Call to Action podcast host James Spence or a gaping chest wound?
I know what you want, but I'm going to say James Spence. Sorry.
You Might have been Jay Spence's life, just so you know.
Because James Spence comes to the events. He put in a very nice video out to the Shire Wolves, and you guys break his balls. I like James Spence.
I love that video.
We love James, but it's kind of like our thing. We actually break everybody's balls.
Of course.
That's it. All right. Here's a tough one. GOAT. Dan Murrell or Rachel Cushing?
It depends on the GOAT. I'll throw it back in you and ask specific. Are you saying overall knowledge, or are you talking about Schmodown player?
Schmodown player, I'll say.
Dan Murrell.
Dan Murrell. Okay.
As far as overall Schmodown player, when it takes everything inside of it, of every element, yes. When it comes to overall knowledge, Rachel Cushing.
Fair enough. Okay. And I'll get one more in here. How about who's going to be heel first? Brendan Meyer or Emma?
No comment.
No comment. Okay, fair enough. Okay. Maybe I'll throw one more in here. One more. See what I got here. How about WWE again? Attitude Era or the Golden Era?
That's 80s you're talking about?
Yeah, the Hulk Hogan era.
Golden Era.
Golden Era. Me too, man.
I love that, but that's hard for you though, because you were probably born. Well, you were born during that time. I get it. If the Attitude Era was your golden era, yeah, I get it. So for me,
me too.
I literally watched Ricky Steamboat versus Savage today in the morning while I was making breakfast for my kids. So it's just like that's one of my favorite matches of all time. And I'll tell you, if you've never seen, you say you don't watch, you weren't a big wrestling fan, you should watch that match. Watch Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Macho Man Savage, WrestleMania 3.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah, watch it, dig it.
Oh yeah, that's the one you gotta hit.
Which is what I predict the Kevin Smith Mike Kalinowski match is going to be of the Spectacular.
It's actually why I considered putting it as the main event, because I was worried that it would steal the show. But after both polls that I put up, they're right. The singles championship shouldn't be diminished in not be in the main event. The singles title always has to be in the main event. And
I fully agree with that. I just think it's nice to have that both such big matches at this point.
Yeah.
Well, that ends this or that. But speaking of Spectacular, I think it would be nice and fun now to talk to you specifically about what your predictions would be for Spectacular.
They change every day, so they might change significantly from what they were on SCN Live. But.
All right, that's what I'm saying. Let's see what we got right now, Bateman or Viviani.
Even though he's such a good guy, and he gets so upset when I say this. I give the slight edge to Bateman. And I saw Viviani's post an hour ago where he's just like, are people forgetting? The people saying my entrances are gonna play. But does people forget what I did at the free for all?
Yeah,
I saw that.
and my counter to that is the free for all isn't a 5-round match, and he said I beat the whole league. Well, he didn't beat the whole league. It's like there was a lot of different. It's a whole thing. That performance of what he did will never be topped. 3.5 hours to be up there. He's one of the most knowledgeable human beings I've ever met when it comes to movies and film. He's a genius. He's a genius, and he's phenomenal for the league. I just think that he might get inside of his head a little bit, and he might prove me wrong completely. And I just have Bateman. Bateman has that fire right now that I think that he's going to. It might go sudden death, but I got Bateman slightly.
Okay. Bateman is definitely very hungry. I know that much. He's the first I've ever seen him. So,
yeah.
All right, Star Wars. Alex or Laura?
If Laura had Laura Kelly is one of my favorite competitors that we've had in the league so far. I love her attitude. I love her determination. I love her willingness to want to play and to do it. It was just her post interview that made me go, she's not there yet. And she said, "Oh, I'm probably going to get destroyed by Damon. You cannot walk in there like that against Damon, because even though Damon has a smile on his face, going, oh, anything can happen, he's looking to murder you. He does not like to lose. His whole channel was based off the fact that he lost trivia at Dragon Con, and he fought until he finally won the damn thing this year. He's an animal." I would go so far that I would say that if he played Sam Witwer today, he'd beat Sam Witwer handily. I think that Damon is the best overall player in any division that we've ever seen. And I think Damon will come away with that victory.
Yeah. I happen to agree with that. Okay, we can't. I know we don't know the tag teams situation, obviously, but I guess we could say I do think the founding fathers. What do you think the chances of the founding fathers defend? I mean, it's hard to answer.
But it really depends on who they play.
Right.
And out of the teams that are left right now, I mean, you look at, well, I don't know how much we've aired, but there's a few teams out there that certainly can put up a fight against them, whether it's the family, or Who's the Boss, or Odd Couple, or Shazam, or look at Looney Bin, Time Machine. Any one of those teams could put up a fight. The thing that is scary about the founding fathers is that even though they're vets of the league, and Dan's been playing since season 2 and Johnson playing since both season 2, they've found new life and energy playing with each other. And you saw that in Orlando. When they were announced as a team, we said, who's going to beat them? And then they had some hiccups. They finally hit that momentum in Orlando. And they both have never lost a live event. John Roca has never defended a championship. He's been champion. He's been team champion. He's been the singles champion twice. He's never defended it, and that bothers him. He wants to do that. Dan Murrell has always defended a championship when he's won one. So this is his first team's championship. It's going to be hard to take the belts away from the founding fathers.
I don't disagree. It's going to be a good match.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that brings up the Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat there. Kevin Spence or Mike Kalinowski?
This is the one that I go back and forth on because on SCN Live the other day, or not SCN Live, on Backstage, I told Mike to his face, I think Spence is going to get him. But I had a conversation with Shannon the other day, and Mike's back to doing stuff that, as far as studying, that he's just, I know him. I got Mike's slight edge taking it now. But again, that could change day of. But right now, I got Mike. But I had Smets 2 days ago, so that could change.
Okay. Woo! How about then you said you gave the edge to Bateman, so Bateman and Oyama.
It's another tough one. Oyama's another one who, what Oyama does besides just study trivia is Oyama reminds me of, like, so I don't know how much you guys are boxing fans, but Mike Tyson back in the day when he was at his height. The reason why Mike Tyson was so devastating, besides being fast and powerful, was that he was a student of boxing. He could tell you who Jack Dempsey was and how many times Rocky Marciano won, who he beat to win the title, what round he did it. He knew the game inside and out. That's Paul Oyama. Paul Oyama knows the game. Paul Oyama knows the game so much that it goes over fans' heads. He referenced one of Snyder's title matches when he beat him. He said, "I think this is it." That is what Snyder said when he lost the titles to Above the Line. He knows the match. He knows it. He'll be studying Bateman. He'll be the same way that Bateman will be studying Oyama. Oyama will be studying Bateman. That being said, that ultimate hunger, still, for some reason, I just feel that the Moneyball strategy of what Bateman's been doing lately might pay off, and I think Bateman could leave with the belt.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, that would definitely make some of the Action Army very, very happy indeed.
Right. Speaking of the Action Army, everybody in the comments, all the lovers and all of those great people, make sure to go ahead and put some questions in. We're creeping up on our time here with Kristian, but before we transition into the fan questions, just because we're talking Ben and action and all of that good stuff, I've got to bring up this family and Paddington 2 match. I want to hear. We will have our reaction up very soon after this video, but we want to hear it from you, Kristian. What was that? Just all of that.
Lunacy. Absolute lunacy, and I think I can push it to 510. By the way, if you guys want.
Sure.
So anyway, yeah, it was crazy because I was there for it, and what I've been trying to do lately for the matches is there are certain matches that I want to call and I want to be on the desk for. There are other ones that I like to run from the side and be able to be with Jen, because Jen and I will talk about certain story points, match points, things. She's very professional. She wants to make sure that she hits all her beats and things that she wants to hit, and we collaborate before or after, sidelining and making sure that all this stuff is happening. I'm looking around. So the match happens, and the the match is over and the Paddington 2 win. So this is I can give a behind the scenes thing here, and I'm fine with doing that. I go to Ghai and I look at him. I go, I want you to turn on Burnett. And he goes, why? And I go, because, and I start to get into it. And then we hear there's a challenge. There's a challenge. Who the hell's challenging? Both the guy, Viviani's right there. Guys, Burnett's challenging? Like, when did he learn how to do that? and they go, no, Achity's challenging. I go, Achity is challenging the ruling? I'm like, but he won. And then, we hear what he's saying. He's like, no, in good conscience, I can't do it. And then we have this whole thing happens. And then we start having conversations behind here. And the bottom line is Lee Marvin was not part of the Dirty Dozen.
No, he wasn't.
Right.
Part of the Dirty Dozen. He was, he put together the Dirty Dozen. And that's when it then became confusing, because the question itself was asked in a way that if the family would have challenged it, they would have lost the challenge. Because they would have lost the challenge because, no, that's not what it's asked. But because Achity challenged it, and because the wording and all this stuff too, we said, well, Lee Marvin did put them together, but he's not really part of the Dirty Dozen. The whole thing's confusing. You can't, if you rule it that he gets it, now then they can challenge because he's not part of the Dirty. The whole thing's just a mess. They got to ask another question. So they ask another question, and the family wins the game. And what should have, now, was it a good sportsman move? Yes, but in a way not necessary, because that's not one. It's not like who directed Jaws? George Lucas. Yeah, you win the game. And then he goes, well, wait a minute. And all good, Spielberg directed that.
Right.
Well, that's just factually inaccurate. Like, and I saw people listing in the comments, oh, who's vetting these questions? The question was not wrong. The question was right. It was because Achity challenged it. It became so confusing, and that it's like, at this point, what do you do with that? Because you can't say, well, you give it to him because, well, like I said, now they can challenge that Marvin did put them together, and it was a mess. So Achity did the unthinkable and challenged the win when he won. And it should have been who's the boss versus the Paddington 2, but that's how it goes.
And now we got revenge for Hugh.
Yeah, yep. Right. I mean, in my head, I'm going, works for me. but I'm also watching it going, like, what do we do here? Like, because as soon as they lost, I said, okay, well, the Paddington 2 now they're getting ready to scrap. Let's okay now. So in my head, like I said before earlier in the interview. It's not like I said going into that match, because Alonzo and Matt, they know their stuff. There was not at one point that I think, well, the family's definitely going to win this. I was prepping for potentially the Paddington 2 because those guys are that knowledgeable. Yeah. It's funny, and this happens a lot sometimes, but especially in this circumstance, the Paddington 2 became more popular in the loss than they did if they would have won. Mm-hmm. Everybody now, people are saying you can't break them up. They gotta stick together. Managers gotta keep them together. We love the Paddington 2. What a class act. What a good move. Like I said earlier, the Paddington 2 just, Paul in wrestling terms, they just got over.
Right.
They got over with a loss.
Yeah. Wow. And that's tough to do. Tough to do. Getting over is tough enough, but to get over the loss is wow. It's definitely unique. I can't wait for everybody to see our reaction. I know a lot of people want to see our reaction on it anyway, so it'll come up hopefully after the show is done.
Yeah, I lost an inch off my hairline from that match, Harloff. I'm never going to get that back.
Trust me, man. I'm telling you, like the energy in that room when that happened, nobody knew what was happening. Nobody knew it was because there's a challenge on the table. Like, well, who's challenging? And then we've never had a winning team win the game and then challenge. We've had a winning team win and going, oh, they could have challenged that. But they didn't challenge it. Like, they said, we won, we're moving on. Woof. Like, they could have challenged it. Like, there was a couple times. I remember, like, there was a loss that Viviani had at one point, and I can't remember who it was or what it was. But there was some question that I remember he lost, and whoever his opponent was, I can't remember who it was, came up to me and said, or it might have been a manager or something, like, oh, he could have challenged that, and he probably would have won. But he didn't, so woof. And it's like, you play to win the game.
Absolutely.
Play to win the game. But you know, and the sportsmanship was there. It wasn't. I think there's a difference between dirty play and playing to win the game. Like you don't want to cheat. You don't want to be you know, someone who's, if you're in character, it's another thing, but you want to be respectful. And because even afterwards, after the Ghai and Merle match off camera, Ghai was very respectful to Merle, and he loves Merle, and he thinks Merle's is a legend, and he is. But like, you know, those types of things you can't do if you're legit about it. You know, that's why Paul Yama got so much heat at one point, but then Paul kind of turned himself around, and he's made amends and made sure that he's kind of shown respect to the game. He's done a very good job at doing that. But no, actually should have. If I was at, and that's, by the way, and that's why. And this is what we said. This is what the draft is going to do next season.
Mm-hmm.
There's no chance that Roxy Stryer lets him challenge that. There's no chance.
Body blocked him, I think.
She says, "Shut your mouth." You can talk about it. You go on, chill to action, and talk about it there.
Yes, exactly.
Don't tell Emma and Ken nothing. Get to the semifinals. We'll talk about it later. Let the fans call it out if they even do call it out. And no fans would have said anything about this at all.
I don't think so.
They would have at all. Nobody. I mean, even Drew and Drew were like, whatever. They were moving on.
Yep.
More people had a problem with the Full Metal Jacket question as the 5-pointer than they did the. But the thing with that, and that was just a level up because there were two questions inside of the 5, and it was the first one, which was a legit 5-pointer, and the second one was an easier 5. But you know, for hardcore movie fans, yeah, it's easier. But not everybody's going to get that question, and it was on the poster. But again, then breaks.
I always hated that questioning thing because I mean, there's just there's only so many questions you have, and it's different to everybody. It's objective things. I've seen movies you haven't seen it, and vice versa.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Yeah, did we have? Oh yeah, so when Viviani played Roca, right? This is Viviani had the question about Better Off Dead, and it was, what was he doing? It was skiing, right?
Right. Yes.
Viviani's a kid from the 80s, right? So to him, it was a good luck of the draw. He picked that, he got it. Roca said, that's not a 5-pointer as opposed to my 5-pointer, right? I asked people that were in the studio from the age of 22 to 30. Not one of them got that question right. Not one. And I said, it's all subjective. And Viviani got just as difficult of a question as you did. You just happen to know his 5-pointer because that's when you grew up.
That's your generational thing.
Right. And I think that contextually it makes sense for a 5-point question and had everything you needed. This is a deep plot point within the movie thing. You'd have to have watched it. Posters aside to kind of get it. But yeah, poster's going to hurt it. But either way, that match is wild way before it ever gets to that 5-pointer. So.
Right. That's right.
Okay. Well, let's start hitting on these questions in the chat. Yeah, we'll do that. Garth, will Kristian ever start live streaming on Twitch, like playing games? I mean, like Jedi Fallen Order or something to that effect?
Yeah, we've been talking about. I actually had a conversation today about doing some more stuff. I think once the beginning of once we hit 2020, probably Twitch will be a bigger thing that we start doing. I don't have a Fallen Order at the moment, but it's definitely something that we were looking into.
Okay, good. Malcolm's Middle Earth Media. Which Schmodown star do you think has improved a lot from when they first debuted?
Well, definitely Kalinowski for sure. I watched his first Inner Geekdom match with Rachel, and like he was good, but he wasn't great. He's great now. And then Emily Rose Jacobson. Emily Rose Jacobson is another one in Inner Geekdom who her first match, even though she won it, was a pretty ugly match with her and Winston.
Right.
Match against Brandon, she looked phenomenal. I think that Emily Rose Jacobson, with the right coach, is going to be one of our most improved player. And I think Brandon Myers is another one who's a very improved player for sure.
Very much so. How about Joaquin Oliveira? Ask about writing movie scripts. If you still do work on that, and you said you're working on a Masters of the Universe script at one point. Any updates on that, or if you're still?
Yeah, the script. I mean, since this career started, because that was my thing. Is I was writing. So much. I was writing from scripts, and I had a couple of them that were kind of pitched around, and then I got into development and worked in development. And then it worked I wrote my television pilot, obviously, but since the schmoes thing started too, the writing took a super backseat because that's when you got to end once marriage and kids happen too. That also took a backseat because I had a very particular writing process and style that I just don't even know if I can do it the same way unless I lock myself in this office and just tell my wife I'm going to Costa Rica for 2 weeks.
Okay, let's see here. I got a couple more in here. Do you consider yourself an underrated Schmodown player since you won the singles and team titles?
Not about underrated. I think I had a good run. I think I had those five matches. I beat some good players. I beat Merle. I beat Snyder, Viviani. The game was very different back then, and I wouldn't be able to do now what I did back then because that was in an era when people didn't really study. It was like, let's just go in with what we know, and whoever wins wins. Now, I don't even know if I would come out of these matches not getting TKO'd because plus it was too hard. It was too hard to manage back then, and there was no live events. There was none of this stuff. There was no Patreon. There was none of it. So I don't think that I would be able to hang. But as far as underrated, no. I mean, I think I had a good run, but I'm not even trying to pretend. Like you put up William Viviani against me in knowledge. I mean, there's no comparison. William Viviani is one of the most knowledgeable humans in movie trivia ever. I just happened at the time when we played know the game a little better than he did.
Fair enough. Favorite match of the year besides RMB Gucci, of course.
Yeah, disaster. There's so many good ones, and it'd be hard for me not to say Rachel versus Mike at the Throwdown in February. Rachel up by 8 points. Mike comes back, sudden death, live. My daughter is in the audience. The moment when she wins it, and Clark comes in and embraces her, and I love that moment so much because Clark knew how badly Rachel wanted to win that IG title. And when you watch that moment again, Clark for a split second doesn't come in because she wants Rachel to hold the moment and she wants Rachel to have it, and then she goes in and hugs her, and it's just such a special moment. And but that was a great match. It was one of my favorite because it was also live streaming, and Mike proved that you gotta beat him in order to take the title from him.
Fair enough. Lucas says, I don't have a question, and he's already said it on SEN, but I love the fact that as a fan of SEN Live, we can see our donations turn almost immediately into improvements for the show.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. And we have, and I'll tell you, in some of them you won't even see because I was telling Brett today, is that, so we have all these cameras, and you see this camera is updated now too, and the mic's updated and all that, and the Mandalorian reviews will be updated now. But I'm still paying off the cameras. I'm still paying off the cameras and all that stuff too. But I'm able, like this computer was because of the wonderful donations, the fact that we can keep the crew, the sound, like all these stuff that we do. Yeah, I'm making sure that everything gets dumped into it. Plus the fact that people don't understand how expensive it is to run the Schmodown a month. If I told you how much the show was to run a month, your glasses would blow off of your face. When I tell my people that I work with, my wife, just like, what does it all go into? And it's incredible how much it costs. So we're still in the red because of it. But because of SEN Live and the donations, I'm able to kind of push back a little bit more and start to get a little bit more in the groove. So having SEN Live has helped dramatically.
Well, the Action Army is happy to help that out at this point.
Yeah, so then I should say that too. As I said, I was going to say it. You guys have been so great. Every day you guys are in there with somebody from the Action Army with hashtagging and all that, and you guys were very, very generous with the donations to help get this computer, and I thank you for that, for what you've done in general for the fan base. I used to watch a lot of the reactions back in the day, and I try to do as much as I can, but there was I have so many I'm trying to remember all the names, but there was a bunch of people that I used to watch back in the day, and it's hard sometimes. The people lose certain personalities, and that's what's so important in this space in general, is that you guys now have been doing this enough that, especially the three of you guys, you do it enough you're starting to connect with your fan base, and they know to expect you And you'll piece in people, and it's like Sports Center or something, right? When you mix up too many people on your shows and your panels and stuff too, sometimes it's hard for the fans to connect because they get addicted to the personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Those personalities are gone, then it's like, okay, you either got to hope that they're going to latch onto them the same way and rebuild. And it's hard to rebuild. It's hard. A lot of places try to do it, and you can't do it. But you guys have done a very good job in doing that, and you're establishing the right personalities and becoming like a very strong Schmodown voice.
Thank you. Very much appreciated.
For making me cry on my own show.
From that, we go to the very important question from David B. Schlong.
It's a very tough one. I have to go with Schlong. But David B was talking to David B. So how many of you guys are coming to Spectacular?
All three of us.
Oh, podcast.
Yeah, a lot of the whole podcast crew. Oh man, it's gonna get rowdy.
In a house.
We're gonna do a sound check. I'm hoping that David B can play the Corruption theme song for Mike and Martin.
Sweet.
And are you guys going to? I know that's hard because you're flying out because I know you're in New York. But January 11th is when we're doing both the awards and the draft at the same time. So.
Boy, I'm glad you brought that up, Harloff, because I have some questions on that. I've got one because we've already got a lot of comments referencing that, and I'm being time conscious. Sure. But there's one award that we're kind of interested in with this podcast fan reactor award. But we heard that with the split between the draft and then the awards that we're looking at putting some awards not getting aired or what have you.
Right.
So fan reactor one.
Yeah.
Any room for a speech on that one at all? No interest. No biased opinions here.
Well,
it's all right.
No, I don't see any biased opinion. Nice lower third. Yeah, I don't know yet. To be completely honest with you, I don't know what's in store. I got to meet up with Thad and Mark, and we have to plan it out because we have about 3 hours. So we need to cram in both the awards and the draft. Because one of the main reasons to do that is because there was two. One was we didn't think that it was feasible to say that the fans are going to, in LA, in general, going to come out to the 11th and the 18th, and to be able to have the crew work the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th for New York, and getting all the competitors to be there on the 11th and then back on the 18th. So we're like, it's not realistic. So we gotta try to cram it up into one, just cut some of the awards down, and then imagine you're in the crowd as a fan and you just watch the awards, and now the draft happens. So after all those awards happen, and look at the value of, say, like, whoever the player of the year is, because right now to me it's either Kalinowski to me is in the lead for player of the year, and Kalinowski wins player of the year, but he doesn't have the title, and someone else has him drafted, because imagine if Corruption doesn't have Mike Kalinowski in it.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's so mad. So amazing.
So craziness about to happen that I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I know we're dead excited about it, and I think that also makes sense for some of the managers who maybe don't study Schmodown as much. They get to see the awards that they do see, and they're like, oh, I should be paying attention to this.
Yes.
That's right. And they might change. You're right. Like, they might have their notebook ready to go, and they see so-and-so winning all these awards, and they're like, shit, maybe I should draft him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure. I think someone else, by the way, an underrated player that you asked is Janine the Machine.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love Janine.
I think Janine the Machine is a future champion. I think she is a future champion that she's the same thing. It's the same Laura Kelly thing. She just got to get that confidence turned just a little bit. She needs a good manager.
She's there too.
Right now, she got Jade, and Jay's. I'm just hoping if Jay keeps her, then she'll hit that championship thing, because Jay works with her so well in like the New York event and things that she did. So if Jay doesn't keep her, though, she's going to need somebody that's able to spin it. But Jay's been great for Janine.
Just to answer your other question, yes, tons of us are going back out for the awards. I unfortunately am not able to. I splurged on Spectacular. I'm staying for AMA, but I will go to New York, so I'll be on the other ones.
New York's going to be nuts already too, because it's going to be, the way that I'm looking at it is that it's going to be Mara versus either Spence or Kalinowski.
Right.
And then the undercard will probably be the number one contender for the team's championship.
Nice.
Ooh.
And that's a lot of good talent right there. And
yeah.
Already, it could be. Well, it's probably gonna. If Mike loses the championship, it'll probably be corruption underneath, and if Mike doesn't, then it might not be the number one contender shot. Then, because corruption gets the number one contender shot.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So basically, if we want to see Mike and Kevin in New York, we want Kevin to win, so we get the corruption and Kevin Smets in New York.
Especially when you think about who they could play. I mean, corruption could play Shazam. Corruption could play The Family. Corruption could play Who's the Boss, Time Machine, the Odd Couple, Looney Bin. There's so many different people that they could play that would be pretty crazy.
Just personally, I would love to see Corruption versus The Family, because I can imagine Drew and Mike having quite a time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Just a kayfabe off.
That's why I'm telling people, don't say if you're watching this and you have the opportunity to go to the spectacular, you're missing out.
Absolutely.
This is the best card we've ever done. Out of the 4, we've had some great spectaculars. This is the best one, hands down. All 5 matches are main event levels, and this is 3 live events in one.
Yeah.
And you're and plus the expo. You're gonna have a whole bunch of tables with a whole bunch of competitors there that you don't, because when you go to the live events, normally you meet myself and Mark, and then afterwards you get to see you're gonna go there and there's gonna be tables set up. There's memories of Schmodown Pass. There'll be exclusive merch just for you guys, and and we are debuting an official SEN shirt that will be exclusive to the expo people first. So,
yay!
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun. Well, with that, y'all, we're not as produced as SEN Live, so we don't have any music to play. I can't say cut to the music, Paul. But with that, we just want to say thank you all for everyone coming in and hanging out. Thank you so much, Kristian Harloff. We appreciate your time. We appreciate everything that you've done for this community. You've made us have friends all over the place. Cut to the music.
Thank you guys.
Plug anything you need to plug it, Kristian, anything like that.
Well, I mean, I think obviously is the two big events, whether you're going to be at the schmodownlive.com, even if you can't be there, if you have never seen a live stream, don't miss out on this one. Get the live stream for December 7th. You go to the schmodownlive.com. You can get the tour shirt that you have on right there. That shirt is.
That's it, Danny.
Love that shirt. Yeah, Danny got that shirt. So get that shirt. You can get that, and make sure you get the tickets for New York, January 25th. Also, the schmodownlive.com, and the event for the draft and the draft and the awards will both be available very soon on the schmodownlive.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristian, for Paul Denuzio, for Dilly Delford, and for the Call to Action crew, and for the Action Army. Thank you all so much for coming in and hanging out. We salute you.
And because it's contractually obligated,
we got to do it.
Flesh! Mr. Sam Jones! And like that, he's gone.
clunky. There you go.
I'm getting excited with this soundboard now that I know how to use it, although I don't know what the hell.
All right. Thank you, everybody.